Good evening, everyone here. Welcome to StormCast here, first StormCast of 2019, live right here on our YouTube channel. We are so glad to have you guys with us here. We're going to give just a few moments to get everyone in here. I am Joey, I'm your host. We got a great panel tonight. We've got a lot that we're going to be talking about this evening. So we'll get right to that. But before we do that, I want to introduce everyone, let everyone get to introduce themselves here for 2019. If you're new to the StormCast, definitely feel free to mash that subscribe button on our YouTube page so you can get notified when we go live, whether it's for StormCast or for coverage of a live weather event. Definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. Starting from left to right, we'll start with you, Dan. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do with the team.
Well, my name is Dan, and I've been with Extreme Weather Videos now for several years. I'm part of the admin team for EWV. I spend most of my time helping Joey manage the team, and when I'm not doing that, when there's storms around, I am almost always on the radars, keeping an eye in the sky and doing whatever else Joey needs me to do. So
awesome. And we'll be looking at some of your radar here a little bit later this evening.
You know it.
Awesome, man. Hey, John, how you doing tonight, man?
All right.
How's life in Oklahoma?
Wet currently.
So tell us a little bit about how you got involved with EWV.
I've been a correspondent for about, I think this will be my second year if I'm remembering correctly. And I just help out with chat and the weather events that we have going on here. I usually send pictures and so on over the last 2 years. So it's been an enjoyable experience.
Awesome. And Rob, down in Florida, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Really dry lately. Haven't got a lot of rain, but enjoying the nice weather we got here right now. I'm an enthusiast for EWV. I've been on the team for, say, a year or two now, and I got to know the team because of Periscope and watching updates for Hurricane Irma when it hit Florida back in 2017.
Awesome. And as you know, I'm Joey, the host here. Been with EWV since it started back in 2009, and we have an awesome team, and great to have each of you guys here on the StormCast tonight. So let's get right to it, guys. We've got a big winter storm. You guys have probably heard about it. We're going to be talking a lot about it tonight. That is Winter Storm Gia. It is currently affecting a good portion of the mid-central U.S. Before we get talking to, we're going to get right to the radar here in just a moment, but I want to toss it over to Rob. He's actually got a really interesting fact about today in weather history. So, Rob, tell us what happened on January 11th in weather history.
On this day in 1972, January 11th, winds raced down from the eastern slopes of the Rockies, resulting in wind gusts more than 140 miles per hour in parts of Colorado. Damage was estimated to be $25 million in damage. Also, in 1982, today, 800 fans were stranded at the Buffalo Municipal Auditorium following a Sunday event hockey game after 25.3 inches of snow fell on the city that day.
Wow, that is a lot of snow for one day. I do not think we're going to see quite that much snow here with Winter Storm Gia, thankfully. We're going to see a good bit of snow. We've already seen a lot of snow falling out there right now. So let's take a look here at our current radar here from Winter Storm Gia. We're going to start by taking a look here in the St. Louis metro area. So Dan's got this pulled up here. So as you can see here, this is brought to you by Radarscope. So you can see some of those really heavy snow bands starting to set up in and around the St. Louis metro area. We've already seen snowfall reports of over 5 inches in some of these areas. And again, we'll get into kind of what we're going to be looking at as to snowfall totals in some of this area in a bit. But you can see some of those darker shades of blue. Definitely seeing a good 100-mile radius there of really heavy snow. And you can see some of the bands there setting up here from Washington over to Festus and even down toward Fredericktown. And then you can see the changeover region there right now occurring a little bit farther off here to the southwest. And not only are we dealing with snow, you see all that red on the radar, that's indicating that mixed precipitation, could be some icing going on in there. And really interesting setting up here. Wouldn't be surprised if we've got maybe a little bit of thunder snow possibly. They're up near the Humansville area, up to Buffalo, Missouri. This is all north of Springfield, Missouri there. So where that transition zone is, and some of those stronger storms, maybe, you know, wouldn't be surprised if there could be, you know, possibility. That would be the area where I would, you know, consider that there could be maybe some thunder snow. Obviously, and even into places like northeast Oklahoma, there's been a lot of rain with this system. It does have, you know, a snowy side, a winter side, and also has a lot of rain. We're going to be seeing all that rain kind of pushing off to the east. So places like Tennessee going to be getting a lot of rain, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, a lot of rain. You can see some of those heavier rain bands there in the Jackson, Mississippi area, and that snow continues off to the east there. But again, right now warm there across Tennessee. So, you know, places like Nashville and things like that, not really going to be looking at any snow in that area. All the snow is going to stay off to the north into central and southern Illinois and Indiana. Evansville really picking up the snow right there. Evansville down to Owensboro, Morganfield, a lot of heavy snow coming down there. And, you know, the snow's not going to last quite as long in some of these areas, which is why we're not expecting as heavy snowfall totals. Snowfall hasn't quite reached into the Ohio, but we're going to be seeing that be moving in overnight. And that snow will also be slowly pushing north. Right now made it up to the Springfield, Illinois area. We'll see that snowfall slowly creep probably a little bit further north than that as we get later in through the evening. So that is a current look at some of the radar there for you. You can kind of see it moving from the west to the east with a slight northern pole. Again, seeing a little bit of the change over there in the Bloomington area. Again, sometimes, you know, that's you know, not always 100% accurate. Again, you can see it better there on that radar. But Springfield really getting a nice heavy band there starting to set up. You can see it really kind of darkening up there on the radar. So thank you, Dan, for sharing your radar with us there. Yeah, 30 to 40 decibels. I mean, that's pretty high totals there for snowfall. So that can be coming down, you know, at up to maybe even in half inch to an inch every hour there.
I think a little closer towards St. Louis, you had even higher. There's 36 just.
Yeah, exactly. What's it over in Washington there? I mean, that looks pretty high there over to the west there in Washington.
Let's see.
32.
Yeah, 37.
Yeah, exactly.
Low to mid 30s. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty good for snow.
Down by Oak Grove, you're up into the 40s here.
Yeah, so that's some
good snowman right here. Right around that Oak Grove area there.
Exactly. So really, from central Missouri into east central Missouri, west central Illinois, that's obviously where we're seeing some of the heaviest snowfall totals starting to accumulate here. Towards the snow is going to be kind of lasting the longest with some of those heavier snowfall bands. Wherever those set up is kind of what we're looking at. So let's take a look here at our current winter storm watches, warnings, advisories, winter weather advisories. So here's what we have. So we can see they've really expanded those winter storm warnings there. So that's in the pink shading that you see, anywhere stretching from pretty much the entire state of Missouri over through central and southern Illinois, central and southern Indiana into southwest Ohio. And then also another region there, even into parts of the Appalachians, eastern West Virginia, central and western Virginia, and a winter storm watch even extending into parts of North Carolina as well. So, and even this winter weather advisory extending all the way back to Kansas. We're seeing some higher elevation snow even back in the Rockies as well. So a very, very impactful storm here. This is a mesoscale discussion that went out a little bit earlier this evening, saying that some of the heaviest snow is expected to continue in that area where they have the pink squiggly lines there. So again, kind of the same areas we were talking about, St. Louis Metro on the east side and west side into east central Missouri.
Yeah,
So,
and I missed that mesoscale discussion. I didn't get a chance to take a look at that. That's right exactly where we were looking. So as you could see from earlier on that radar that we had up there, you could see those higher DBZs firing in those sections there. So some pretty good snowfall rates right now.
Yeah, and those snowfall rates, Dan, those are going to be continuing really over the next 3 to 4 hours before they kind of slowly get a bit less intense. But we're going to see some of those heavier snowfall rates continue at least through probably near 10, 11 o'clock tonight for that area. So excellent point that you bring up there. So this is kind of what we're going to do here is I'm going to have, we're going to just go region by region. So we'll start from west and we'll kind of work our way off to the east. And Dan, John, Rob, feel free to chime in if you guys have any thoughts on some of the National Weather Service forecasts that they put out here. So this is for the St. Louis area. So as you can see, that darkish shade of the oranges, anywhere from 12 possibly up to 18 inches. We'll take a look here at the models here in not too long from now, but definitely a foot of snow, not out of the question. We've already seen, some reports of 6-7 inches already. So with more to come. So definitely not out of the question. That Interstate 70 region, really from Columbia all the way east of St. Louis, is going to be some of the hardest hit areas. So don't try and travel along Interstate 70 this evening or tomorrow morning. Definitely going to be very hazardous out there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But then you can really interestingly see there's a pretty tight gradient on the south side of this. So if you look here, Farmington is at 8 inches of snow, and you just go south and you got, some of these areas, 2 to 3 inches. So there is going to be a tight snow gradient. So really, if this thing kind of, as it progresses eastward or east-northeastward, if it goes, 50 miles further north, then those snowfall totals could be, the heavier snowfall totals could be a little bit further north than what we're seeing, on some of these graphics and things like that. So again, here's where the winter storm warning and the winter weather advisory on the north side here of Illinois is. Again, that winter storm warning does include St. Louis, Metro, Bloomington, Mount Vernon, most of central southern Illinois, Peoria. Winter weather advisory off further to the north there. But again, you have to take this seriously, guys. When a winter storm warning is issued, that means that severe winter weather, I should say, is imminent or ongoing at this time. So definitely try to avoid travel. And the snow is going to continue not only through tonight, but into the day tomorrow, and even Saturday night. It will start tapering off there in Illinois as we go through the day. John, you had a comment there? I think you're try again there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go. We got you. Well, we could hear you there for a second. We lost you again. There we go. I got you back now.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say something. I know you don't have Kansas City pulled up on here, but they also are at the winter storm warning. I think they're supposed to get up to 6 inches. Mm-hmm. And they have a playoff game tomorrow for all the people in the central U.S. that likes to go watch football. So everybody might keep that in mind while traveling up to Kansas City with all that traffic and snow.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely, like you said, give yourself plenty of extra time traveling out on the roads. Take it a little slower. If you're heading out to the game tomorrow, excellent point there. I know Dan's a big football fan. It's Kansas City and not Green Bay playing, but that's okay. that's okay.
We're already getting prepared for next year.
Yes, we are.
Awesome, awesome. So as we continue a little bit further off to the east, this is from Indianapolis, National Weather Service, Indianapolis. So again, snowfall total is not quite as high for portions of Indiana, anywhere from 4 to 7 inches through central and southern Indiana, depending on where you live. Indianapolis, 5 to 6 inches probably. Can't rule out, some isolated higher amounts, especially for portions, I'd say, of west central Indiana. Some of those places could get a little bit higher snowfall totals. But again, definitely, slick roads, longer commutes. And then that snow is going to be continuing through Sunday morning there for much of central and southern Indiana there. Then as we move a little bit further east into southeast Indiana, southwest and central Ohio, again, still pretty decent snowfall totals as you move east. Again, we're not looking at 12 to 18 inches, but still definitely anywhere from 4 to 6 inches for a large portion from Columbus down to Cincinnati up to Dayton and even over toward Richmond and Batesville, Indiana. 6, maybe even 7 inches, 6 to 8 inches possible for that area. So definitely, this is definitely a wide impacting storm. It's going to be affecting millions and millions of people over the weekend. And obviously it's the weekend, so, people want to go out. But the nice thing is, since it is the weekend, the kids will get to enjoy the snow. So definitely, if you live up there, grab your sleds and head out to the tobogganing hills and enjoy the snowflakes, build a snowman for us, And then as you get into southeast Ohio and into West Virginia, you'll notice one major difference here is a lot of lower snowfall totals for much of West Virginia. And that's because this is where we're going to start seeing that transition zone, especially as we go a little bit farther south. We're not going to be having as long of a duration of snow in this area, which is why the snowfall totals aren't as high. But you will notice in a place like Snowshoe, West Virginia, expecting 7, maybe even 8 inches of snow or higher. And that's because that's where the Appalachian Mountains are. So you get that orographic lifting to help enhance those snowfall rates in total in the higher elevations of the mountains. So definitely in the Appalachians could see some higher snowfall totals than in the valley and like Charleston's and Flatwoods and those areas. So just in case you guys are wondering, like, why are snowfall totals so much higher in Snowshoe than in Charleston? 1 inch to 7 inches is pretty big difference there. So, but that is why.
Right.
And then Virginia is going to be getting in on some of the snow again, more mountainous terrain, so anywhere from 4 to 6 inches for much of western and central Virginia there, from Lexington to Roanoke and Lynchburg, down even to Whiteville. Then snowfall totals the farther south you go into North Carolina, they will taper off. And they're really going to taper off as you get into north central North Carolina, because we're going to be transitioning from snow into more of an icing threat. And so this here is the Raleigh-Durham National Weather Service ice accumulation forecast, which is through 7 a.m. on Monday morning. Most of that icing will probably be happening Sunday. So anywhere from, trace to up to maybe 0.2 of an inch, place like Roxborough, possibly 0.2 of an inch, even over toward Winston-Salem. I mean, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Lexington, the tri-state area, that's a pretty well-populated area, and you get 1/10 or even more than 1/10 of an inch of ice. That can bring down trees, power lines, so wouldn't be surprised to see some power outages across portions of north central North Carolina into western North Carolina as well. This is western North Carolina and upstate South Carolina. So again, the main story in these regions is not going to be the snow. Wouldn't be surprised maybe see a dusting of snow or something like that, especially as you get into, the mountains and things like that. Definitely possible. But the ice definitely going to be the big story for North Carolina, possibly up to 1/4 of an inch of ice there in Morgantown. We already see these pockets of red there. That's where we possibly 1/4 of an inch or more of ice. So definitely something to be prepared for. Make sure you've got your winter weather plan in place. Dan's going to be talking to us a little bit about that and also about reporting here in a little bit, but definitely make sure you are prepared. Now I want to get to talk. I'll let actually Dan, if you want to take this part here, talking about some of our models and the snowfall totals here. So this is the NAM, and I just want you to kind of talk to us about, some of the difference between what we're seeing, like on the radar, and the models, and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so like as you said, this here is the NAM, and this is just one of the different models that we'll be taking a look at here. And when I was taking a look at these, I had noticed that it seems like the track is pretty much consistent between the models. They have a pretty good idea on where the transitions are going to be, where the lighter snow is going to be, and then that heavier pocket around east central Missouri being the more significant area of total snowfall. You'll see that the snow starts to taper off in northern Iowa and northern Illinois. So if you're like me and you're up in Wisconsin near the border, we probably won't get a whole lot. And then it'll reach far south as almost Tennessee and Arkansas. So as Joey said, this is a huge storm. But where it gets big is from west to east as this thing moves across. And as you'll see as we go through the different models here, that on Missouri here, that seems to be ground zero for the most significant part of the snowfall there, up to 17 inches there, right along central Missouri. And that will track all the way through, that would be western Illinois. You're looking at about 12 to 14 inches of snow between Illinois and Missouri, and almost let's call it the southern 2/3 of Illinois could get some decent snowfall out of this, all the way up to between about 4.5 inches on the southern edge of Illinois, all the way up to about 6.5 on that northern 2/3. And then as this thing moves east, it'll track through Indiana and parts of Ohio. And as Joey mentioned, over by the Appalachians near West Virginia and Virginia there. Joey, if you have available so this here is the GFS, and you'll see that this here is still showing that the most significant part of this snowfall here is going to be in Missouri and extreme western Illinois. But what you'll notice here is that the snow totals are a bit less on this GFS model. Here we're seeing the snowfall topping out right around a foot. Again, around that same area, central Illinois, central Missouri, western Illinois, reaching about those 12 inches. But from there, then it gets relatively consistent, keeping Illinois that same lower 2/3 between 5 to 8 inches there. Pretty good snowfall all through Missouri. A bit less for Indiana and Ohio compared to the NAM.
Definitely Ohio's.
So this particular model is showing a bit more of a fall off as it moves east, but it shows a little bit more towards the Appalachians. Now, again, like Joey pointed out, most of that higher snowfall is going to be right along the mountains there on the border, but still picking up some snow as this thing moves from west to east.
Yeah, for sure. And then this is the Cuchera snowfall total. So again, this is the NAM. So there's the NAM 10-to-1 ratio. So these are just two different models. Same model, but two different algorithms that are used to predict snowfall totals. So the 10-to-1 ratio, for those of you that may not know, kind of use the standard, for every inch of precipitation that falls through the atmosphere, you get 10 inches of snow at the surface. The Cuchera ratio is not quite the same amount. It's a little bit less, which is why if you take a look here, still the NAM is higher than the GFS overall, but you're not seeing, quite 17 inches. You're seeing, 13 and 14 inches there on the Cuchera.
Right. But similar track, though. So it's both calling for most of the snow be right in that central Missouri and even extreme western Illinois. So if you're anywhere around that area, be prepared to, that's a foot of snow. That's a decent amount of snow.
Exactly. So that's the NAM, and then this is the GFS, which I think is the most interesting of the four that we kind of look at here. This was the one with the lowest, significant totals, only getting up to about 10, 11 inches, but also still extending those, 6, 7 inch totals all the way into West Central Ohio there still, and also for the Appalachians, but just not quite the same as, the NAM. The NAM's was really kind of the heavier of the two models overall.
Yeah, it's liking to put a lot of snow over Missouri, and the other one not as high as maximum totals, but spread out a little more where more people get in on.
Exactly. The GFS is a little bit more showing isolated high amounts, whereas NAM is showing a large pocket of, a high amount. So definitely interesting. Definitely interesting there. John, any thoughts on what you're seeing here with these models for the NAM and GFS?
No, not really. I noticed, I like how he said, he still takes the same track all the way through. I preferably like the NAM because it showed me getting a little bit of snow. But other than that, it's being really consistent, and that's, what we want whenever we're dealing with this snowstorm like this.
Exactly. I see that little 1/10 of an inch snowfall there in northeast Oklahoma. So,
if I get 1/10 of an inch of snow, I'm going to Instagram that and hashtag you.
Yes, exactly. Definitely do that. Definitely.
And you can do that by using the hashtag EWV Live.
Yeah. So speaking of which, John, talk to us about that. How can folks, send in their pictures and videos to us here at Extreme Weather Videos?
Easy peasy. I currently have the window up showing our Instagram account. Just hashtag EWV Live for any weather-related things, especially with this storm, since it's reaching from pretty much the middle of the country all the way out to the coast. So it'd be easy to share, and we'd love to see all the pictures and videos we can see.
Awesome. For sure. We love seeing your guys' pictures, videos. Just send it in. If you can't, maybe you don't have Instagram. If you're on Twitter, Dan, what's the best way that they can reach us on Twitter?
You can follow using the hashtag EWV Live. That way we can search for it and we can see your photos. If you got some good storm pictures, or maybe this time of the year you got a really good sunrise photo you want to share with us, we'd love to see those. Send them in. Use the hashtag EWV Live so we can see those.
We'll definitely retweet your guys' pictures and videos and stuff like that. Absolutely. We know we've got a lot of you guys out there and stuff like that. And for sure, awesome. One other thing we wanted to talk about, obviously, we've kind of taken a look at the radar. We've taken a look at the models. Winter weather is a very serious situation. So Dan, I think, wanted to talk to us a little bit about, how to report on winter weather. So Dan, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Well, I thought this would be a really good opportunity, not only because it's our first Stormcast of 2019, but this has a lot to do with the winter weather that, as we just took a look at, a lot of us are going to be experiencing either now or within the next day or so. So as storm spotters, we all know what things to look for, what things are reportable, what the National Weather Service wants us to call in and report during spring and summer, and whenever there's other severe weather. A lot of us already know that, but one thing I wanted to share with you is, what do we do during the winter? What are some cool season spotter reporting criteria? So here you'll be able to see a screenshot of the graphic that was, this is from the Milwaukee Skywarn Association. These are some different things that we can, as spotters, report in that the National Weather Service is interested in knowing. So any kind of new snowfall, report that to the nearest 1/10 of an inch. It's same as spring and summer, rain gauge nearest to the nearest 1/100th of an inch. And of course, anytime that there's any damage of any kind, it could be trees, power lines, any kind of property damage. And with it being cool season, ice does a lot of damage. Roofs can fall in. All those things they would like to know about. And then, of course, road conditions. So lots of travel problems are going to be occurring with these snowfalls that are going to be coming down. They would like reports on when it's slippery. Sometimes roads are completely closed or just impassable completely. That is all reportable. Also, anytime that there's visibility less to a half mile, anytime there's wind gusts greater than 30 miles per hour, and flooding, same here. Whether it be in the streets or rivers, creeks, streams, any type of flooding along those lines. And then we get into different types of winter weather type precipitation. So there are differences between freezing rain, sleet, and grapple. All of that is reportable, but know the difference between them so that when you give your report, you're reporting the correct type of precipitation. Freezing rain, they have described as radial ice, anytime it's coating above the ground. Sleet is simply best described as ice pellets, and grapple is interesting. It's like snow pellets, basically. It's a little bit different. All those reportable to the nearest tenth of an inch. Anytime that there's whiteout conditions, we want to know about that. And mixed precipitation as well. So those of you in the transition area, they like to know, is it coming down as rain? Is it coming down as sleet or snow? All that is reportable. And then my personal favorite, thunder snow.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, when you report those, don't forget the 4 W's of who, what, when, and where. So all of that, I think, was good information here, especially with the timing of this snowstorm that's coming through. And a lot of you recently experiencing this type of winter weather further south than normal. So some of this might be new information. If not, I felt it might be a good brush up, and got to keep everyone safe.
Awesome. I know we've talked a lot about the snow. Obviously, that's the big story, but I don't want to forget about the rain because that's going to be another big story. We've had a lot of rainfall across much of the south central and southeast U.S. So, John, I wanted to get to talk to you a little bit. You're there in Oklahoma. I know you guys have, the rain's been coming down pretty much most of the day today there in Oklahoma. Seeing some flooding conditions. So talk to us a little bit about what you got going on in Oklahoma.
All right. Well, this is the rainfall for today from midnight to current. Most of northeast Oklahoma, you can see, it's got above an inch, inch and a half, heading towards the Missouri-Arkansas line. There is a couple of flood warnings for parts of Cherokee and Ottawa counties. Near Tahlequah, this would be if it was the middle of the summer, it'd be a major floating river, but during the winter, not so much. But you'd have to look along that if you live up here in this area. Ottawa, I believe that's the Neosho River. People that live in that area know how frequently that river can flood. And then this one shows pretty much the whole storm for the last 2 days. So you're getting close to up to 2 inches of rain in far northeast Oklahoma. So we're not getting any snow, sadly, but we're getting caught up on some rain. And also, an interesting fact, I didn't pull it up, but I just thought about it. For the first time since, I want to say 2014, the state of Oklahoma has no drought, period.
That is good news right there, my friend.
So this is part of the reason we get all the rain and no snow.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a current look at the rainfall there in Oklahoma. So you can see there from Tulsa extending southward, a band of light to moderate rain showers continuing there, even stretching back to southeast of Oklahoma City. And then that rain continues down into Texas as well, over toward Durant. And all that rainfall is going to be continuing to spread eastward and southeastward with time. There's some of those heavier rainfall totals there in northeast Oklahoma that we were just looking at there in those snowfall totals. So you can see there, places like Grove, Oklahoma, up toward Miami. So yeah, those are definitely some of those heavier snowfall totals. Probably maybe getting a little bit of thunder there in Miami. So thank you, Dan. thank you for sharing your radar with us.
Absolutely. And as you were talking about what he was saying earlier, 2018, we didn't mention this because this is our first Stormcast since the beginning of the year. 2018 is the first year since, I believe it was the 1950s, since tornadoes were really being tracked, that we had no violent tornadoes.
That's right.
No EF4s, no EF5s.
Yeah. And it was also, now that you mentioned, it was also the year with the fewest deaths as well, at 10. 10 deaths for the entire year. So,
10 still too many, of course, but much less than
500
typically get. That is a good thing.
So absolutely. So to close out our Stormcast here this evening, it's been great. But I just kind of want to, just have a roundtable and just let each of us kind of talk about, what winter has been like for us so far, and then just kind of what you think you're expecting for your area for the rest of the winter, and kind of looking forward to spring. We are less than 2 months away from daylight savings time. That starts on March 10th, and today's January 11th, so that's kind of exciting news.
And days are already getting longer.
Yes, we made it past December 21st, so the days are, in fact, getting longer. So that's exciting news. So, Dan, we'll go ahead and start with you. We'll just kind of work our way down the line. So talk to us about what winter's been like for you and what you're expecting for the remainder.
It's been dry. We haven't really had a whole lot of snow in my area. I'm in southern Wisconsin, and that's not normal for us. Normally we have quite a bit of snow by now. Not as much as the northern part of the state, obviously, but it's been pretty dry. I haven't even gotten to bust out the snow thrower yet this season. So
wow,
but it has
really saying something.
Yeah, but it has been cold. So we struggled to get out of the teens there for a while. We've been floating around the 20s recently. Taking a look at the forecast ahead here, we're going to be hovering. Our highs are going to be hovering right around that freezing mark, low mid 30s. So, but still, taking a look at the forecast ahead for the next week for my area up here, looking dry.
So the dryness continues. Awesome. Well, hopefully you'll get some snow before it's all said and done, and take a picture of that snowman and hashtag EWV Live.
I'd just rather have it now than April like we did last year.
That is true.
Don't quote me on this, but I think the most significant snowfall, the snowstorm that we had all last season, actually came in April.
Wow.
Now, I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me on that, but I remember the beginning of April, we had a decent-sized snowstorm, and that's pretty late for us.
Hopefully in April we'll be talking hail cores instead of snowfall totals.
Yes, absolutely. It's much more fun to track tornadoes than it is snow.
Yeah, that it is. All right, John, talk to us.
All right, well, since I had a moment, I went ahead and looked it up on the drought thing. It was June 14th of 2016 was the last time Oklahoma had no drought.
Wow.
And for the last year, we've been getting quite a bit of rain. There's areas that held water, like fields and ditches, that held water all summer and all fall. And of course, now still doing it because of all the rain. As far as outlook, I really would be surprised if we get any snow until maybe February and maybe March. Every now and then we get a March storm that dumps a bunch of snow and then it's gone in about 3 days.
Yeah.
But, that's Oklahoma. I mean, last week we were near 70 one day and in the 50s next. So it's always fun living down here.
Exactly. All right, Rob, don't rub it in for us, Florida boy.
Well, I'll say this. January has been very dry rain-wise. We haven't gotten much rain, really. I mean, we've gotten a couple small storms, but really the temperatures have been up and down, like John mentioned before. One day it'll be the highs will be in the upper 70s for a couple of days, and then the highs will be in the mid to low 60s, and then the lows will just stay in the 40s and 50s. So our weather's been up and down consistently for January.
Huh.
What we're expecting is a little bit more of the same. Not much rain. It's been very dry for January, especially because it's our tornado season in Florida.
That is true.
So we're not getting much rain right now, but it's been very weird weather. It's been changing a lot, the highs and lows. But that's really about it for my area.
Awesome. I mean, I used to live. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh.
I thought you were saying something.
A lot of.
I was thinking though that, man, your cold weather. We'd be out in the swimming pool up here if we had that right now in the middle of January. But
Right.
It's all relative.
Awesome. What were you saying, Rob?
Well, there's some areas in Florida that does have flood warnings right now, but not my area.
Yeah, northern Florida, close to the Gulf
Yeah.
Coast. Yeah.
And interesting enough, there was a freeze warning up near Jacksonville and also in parts of Savannah, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
They have to warn you guys when it's going to dip below 32 down there.
Exactly, because of all the oranges.
Right.
Preserve the oranges. We must protect the oranges. Oh, man. Well, this honestly. Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. My winter's been really, really interesting. It has been so wet here in the Southeast. Just round after round. December, I think it was the wettest month of the year that we had this past year in 2018. And 2018 was also the second wettest year on record for Atlanta. We had over, I think, 70 inches of rain this past year. So that was really something else there. But yeah, I mean, winter has been just so wet and fairly mild, which I've enjoyed the milder temperatures. You know, we haven't gotten into, the teens or 20s really at all this winter.
Wasn't it about 2 years ago this time you were chasing tornadoes in Georgia?
Yeah, it was back in January of 2017.
Yep. I was wondering, was that last year or was it 17? And I got
this year.
Stat that
this year Ohio started.
Oh, it must be 2017.
Yeah,
there was some violent tornadoes that went through your area.
There were over 200 tornadoes in the month of January in Georgia in 2017.
I remember that. Yeah,
wow.
That was the year, man. That was the year. Hey, if we have it again, I'll be ready. I just gotta get in my car, grab my camera, fire up the live stream here.
My radar's up, ready to go. Let's do it.
Your radar is ready to go, and we're ready to go see some tours. Get ourselves in 3 different tornado warnings because one isn't enough. Yeah. One's never enough.
No.
Surround yourself on all 3 sides. Leave yourself only one way out, and that's south.
One's lucky enough.
But no, yeah, it's been really mild winter here. A lot of rain. I think the mild temperatures are going to continue here for my area. I'm kind of thankful at least January doesn't look like it's going to be as wet as December was. Obviously, we're going to be getting a lot of rain this weekend, tomorrow and Sunday with the storm moving through, but then it kind of dries out for the next week. So it's kind of getting rain, once or twice a week. I wouldn't be surprised. Usually February, early March is typically our greatest chance of seeing any winter weather. We'll get, sometimes, 2 or 3 inches of snow and the city will shut down for a week. Or we can, sometimes also get black ice is the big thing here. I know Dan's like, you only got like 4 snow plows in your entire state and they dedicate them all to the city of like 5 million people in Atlanta. So yeah, it can be, it can get interesting here.
An inch of snow brings the city to a halt.
For an entire week.
We take our broom and brush off the dry.
Here, if we get a 1/10 of an inch, we'll go crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Rob, I think Tampa's gotten snow before. I mean, it's pretty once every 50 years maybe, but
to be fair though, you get us back in the summer because when it gets up to 90 degrees here and it's humid, we're all on the ground like trying to get the last oxygen because we're not used to weather that hot.
90, nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, I was in Georgia and Florida. We're like, that's not really anything to, laugh at or whatever. We're just used to it. But no, guys, I'm really glad for everyone that's gotten to tune in here to our StormCast. Really glad Dan, John, Rob. Been great having you guys on here tonight and joining us. Definitely, if you're not following our Facebook page, go ahead, head over there, facebook.com/extremeweathervideos. Give us a follow. Subscribe to us right here on YouTube. So you'll get notified when we go live, and we'll put out, when our next Stormcast will be. We'll post that on our Facebook page, usually a couple days in advance, to let you guys know. Again, thank you guys for watching. Hope everyone has a great day. And of course, stay warm, stay safe, enjoy the snow, build a snowman, post a picture for us.
Experience the extreme.
And of course, experience the extreme with all of us here at Extreme Weather Videos. I'm your host, Joey Pisani, saying have a great night. We'll see you guys next time here on Stormcast.